Okay, episode 10 of Shaman Talk with Tegan. We're going to talk about extraterrestrials or aliens. So an exciting topic. So are they real? Are aliens, are they legit? Do they exist? I mean, I think you should know by now if I'm making a whole video about it, then the answer is yes. Aliens are real, they exist, and we're going to talk about it. I do want to just throw out there though, so what I'm going to talk about today is coming from my personal experiences, not only for me, but for people around me who I trust and know that they're telling me the truth. And also from whatever sources, only like 2 so far that I've read about that I fully kind of trust in. And so I'm not claiming to be some kind of expert on all the different types of extraterrestrials. I'm not trying to claim that you, again, like any video I make, that my word is truth and that is it, but I'm coming from a place, like I always do, of personal experience. So the actual, the whole subject of ETs and aliens isn't necessarily coming from my original shamanic training. All the videos leading up to this have been based on that initial year-long training that I did. This is kind of its own separate branch where I'm pulling my information from, where I'm talking from personally. It's under the umbrella of shamanism, but it's not technically part of my original training, if that makes sense, okay? Not that it truly matters at this point, but just so we know. So this isn't coming from that original, lineage that I did my training from. This is kind of like an offshoot. This is, a little bit separate, but similar. So this is a training that I did actually only like 2 months ago, maybe it's only a month ago. So I haven't really talked much about that training yet, but I will soon. I haven't brought forward that healing that I can do through it yet to the public, but when I do, I'll probably make a video separately on that. But just know that's where I'm pulling from today. Okay, so again, I'm going to refer to them as ETs probably throughout this video because aliens is like kind of one of those trigger words like I talked about in my ghost video, where it's like when people hear aliens and ghosts, a lot of people roll their eyes. And it's just one of those words that sounds silly a little bit, even though it's like that's what it is. So I'm just going to refer to them as ETs or extraterrestrials throughout the video. And I just want to say the more I work with people, the more I work with this other part of the shamanism that I just did, I'm probably going to make another video because I'm only coming from the place of things that I know. So, ETs, they can kind of be separated into 2 groups, right? We know by now that there are always gray areas to things and people and whatever, but we're going to, for the sake of this short video, kind of talk in one or the other. So there are the good ETs, and these are beings that are just very highly ascended, meaning they've overcome a lot. They are old or ancient souls who originally, when they ascended to a higher state of being, like everyone's kind of trying to do here on Earth right now, they did it in another planet, possibly another universe, another solar system, possibly. They didn't do it here on Earth, or if they did, they only came here for a short period. So these are aliens or ETs, but they're also they're just highly ascended beings. We'll leave it at that. So they may seem like an alien because it's alien to us, right? People here on Earth. So these beings, if they come forward to you, it's not usually going to be like you're standing in the woods and you see a spaceship and these beings are trying to come to you and talk about love and light, okay? These beings come to you more like in your dreams or subconsciously and things like that, giving you thoughts that maybe you're like, that's an interesting way to think about it, or I've never thought about it this way. Most likely they came to you and kind of dropped you a little message, so to speak. And they are interested in helping people, okay? They, especially, science is just kind of catching up to this right now, that Mother Earth or Pachamama, Gaia, whatever you refer to the Earth as, is her own sentient being. And we're just living and borrowing her time and energy, really. And they're interested in that as well because, if one planet, if Earth self-destructs because we don't change our ways, that affects the whole solar system, that affects the universe, so these higher beings are trying to help us to understand that and help us to help ourselves, basically. They're trying to help us evolve and ascend to a different state of being that's more open, more healthy, more loving. So they do come with a true, come in peace nature. So there, again, this is just a quick little overview, but there are different types of these beings, these extraterrestrials, and some of you have probably heard of like the term star seeds, and that's why it's called a star seed, because they did their ascending and growing on different parts of the planets or different parts of the universe or solar system, and some of them are here incarnated on Earth. Okay, I am one of them. I'll maybe one day make a video about my whole story and who I truly am, but I don't feel like sharing that at this point. But I'm one of those star seeds here to help not only like heal myself and my own karmic issues, but to help heal the earth and heal the people around me. And any other person that is a star seed, they of course have their own things that they need to do when it comes to healing, but they're also here to help heal humanity, help us rise and raise our vibration so we all can like do better, basically, to say in a very snippet there. So here's a couple different like races, I guess, of star seeds and ETs, even though that's not exactly, that's like an earthly thing to say, but there's the Pleiadians, there's the Lyrians, Arcturians, and they each come from their own place in space, so to speak. They each have their own things that they're really good at, and there are hybrids out there, and that's me. I'm a hybrid of two different ones. It's kind of like the DNA these days. There's very few people out there who are just purely one thing. They're usually a mix of a bunch of different cultures and things like that. So that can happen too, even with like an advanced being. They are kind of a merging of certain things. Okay, so the good ETs are either talking to people from a different plane of existence. I sometimes talk to them, but that's because I have that shamanic training to where I know how to connect. But even if you haven't, sometimes if you're someone who is a starseed, maybe you don't remember, or you're just very open and you're pure of heart, they'll try and talk to you as well. And they, again, are just here to help the earth, literally help the earth, because the earth is struggling right now. And no matter who you are, what your political view is, that's it. Earth is struggling, period. Sorry, it is what it is. So they're here to help us help ourselves, to help Mother Earth and things like that. Okay, so they're interested, they have our best interest in mind. Then we have the other group. And again, this is just a very black and white way to explain it in this short video, but there's the aliens, ETs, that do not give a shit about us. Or it goes farther than that, and they're actively trying to like keep us in this lower third dimensional vibration for their own gain. So again, there are two groups that come to mind immediately that I've personally heard of or had to clear from my own sake. There's the reptilians, and I'm sure some of you maybe have actually heard of this. And then there's the Greys. The Greys are real. The Greys are real. So the reptilians are the ones that are more aggressive and are like trying to hold us back. The Greys generally are more neutral. So the Greys don't necessarily, if they come here, it's not because they're actively trying to like destroy us, but they're also not here to actively help us either. They're more just like neutral ground. So on one hand, that could be kind of a good thing, because then it's like, oh, well, maybe you can help us. But there are plenty of people who've had interactions with ETs and Greys specifically, where they fall under the influence of like the reptilians and the other beings that have those negative, thoughts and actions against us. And so it's almost like they're kind of part of an army, so to speak. And so what happens is, okay, so I always hear people, especially like on social media, they think they're funny or they're genuine about it, but they're like, oh, aliens, come to me, come take me up in your ship, blah, 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 blah. My warning is be careful what you wish for, okay? Because I know some of you, even after watching this, are not going to believe, and that's fine. But for those of you who maybe start thinking about it, that is not what you want. The beings that are going to take you up in their ship, if they answer your call, that is not a positive thing. The beings that are going to take you up in their ship are going to do weird experiments on you. You're probably going to get some sort of attachment so that they can come and take you whenever they feel like it. And you can do something about it, but most people feel they can't, or they feel like they're out of control and weird things are happening. Now they have these weird pains in their bodies. They don't know why. They got weird markings on their arm from overnight. They got weird bruises. They don't know where they came from. Very possibly aliens, especially if you're one of those people who's like, take me up to your ship, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. For your own good, don't do that. Because even if you're trying to contact the ones that come in peace, they don't come on a ship that you can visibly see, that you can visibly touch, okay? They're beyond that. If they do come and you can see them, you'll know immediately, because it'll be an outpouring of just intense love and acceptance. But from my understanding, that hasn't happened. Or if it has, it's happened so rarely that it may as well have not have happened. The ones, if you're someone who's seen a ship flying around, just be warned. You don't need to, I'm not saying this so that you should be in fear constantly, because that's not it either. But just don't call attention to yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you've seen a ship, just, okay, there it goes, bye. Don't be like, oh, come back, what are you doing? Take me to your planet. You don't want that, okay? I'm just letting you know right now. When you hear stories of people who are being abducted and they talk about these gray, creepy aliens digging around in your body, a lot of those are true. They're absolutely true. Now, can I say that for everyone's story? No, of course, there are some people out there who just have maybe some, issues going on beyond that, but you wouldn't believe how many people have been abducted. Odds are you've been abducted in some lifetime. And like I said, they're not fun. They're not exciting. They're not here to help us. So if you're someone who genuinely wants to connect, though, to the other ascended beings who are there to help, it's important that you don't do it as a joke. You do it purely because you want to heal, or because you want to just know more about them or what you can do to help yourself and others. Just make sure you're coming from a pure place, okay? And they'll answer you. But like I said, if you have a weird dream that night about being in a spaceship, you got the wrong ones. And I do want to just reiterate, I'm not trying to scare you, because fear is what keeps us holding us back from everything, right? Fear is like everyone's worst enemy. It's just more of a cautionary tale, I guess. That if you're one of those people who just willy-nilly yells out to the cosmos that you want aliens to abduct you, then you better be prepared for it to happen and not go as planned. So the other training I've been talking about that I haven't really talked a lot about, or I haven't offered it yet, the things I have heard of and seen through that so far is that these certain beings, whether they're the Greys or the reptilians, can attach to you, kind of similar to my ghosts I was talking about. But this is more, these beings are harder to get rid of because they're trying to track you. People have trackers in your body. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of you have trackers in there. And they're hard to find because sometimes they don't show up until we're in a certain specific emotion or state of agitation. I know a couple people over COVID, because of how overwhelming that was, that's when those trackers showed up and they were having immense pains, whether it's in their face or their heart or something, but there wasn't like a medical diagnosis that made sense. So the things that you've probably heard of and went, that's fake or that's silly, not fake, not silly, can be very serious. So if you feel like something's ringing a bell, or you've had those weird dreams about being in a spaceship, odds are you've been in contact with those not so nice alien types. And if you feel like, oh, this is, again, like anything that just triggers that sense of like, uh-oh, this is like, I don't know why, this is like something's going on in my brain or in my soul right now that's telling me to listen. contact me. Again, I'm not offering my services quite yet to the public, but I know people who can help you at this point in time. If you feel like you've been in contact with aliens and you, like the negative ones, and want to break that cord, or, you know, get them unattached, or get the most likely things they left behind in you out. At this point, some of you are going to be like, oh my God, she's fully off her rocker. But I'm telling you, this stuff is legit. And it sounds scary. When I first started reading about it and encountering this stuff, it was scary. But ultimately, you have to remember that you, even if you're not a starseed, you're still a being of light. And that's at a soul level. And really, if you're in one of those dreams again, or you're conscious of this happening, all you have to do is be like, return me now, get me off this damn ship, because they ultimately have to listen. And that's because they're still of this universe, right? We're all in this universe if we're thinking on a big, big scale. And this universe has free will. So they can't hold you captive. They do it, and then if you're too scared and discombobulated to understand what's going on, they're just gonna be like, heh, gotcha, and place trackers in you or whatever. But if you can fully come to that conscious realization of like, oh, wait a minute, I don't consent to this, then basically that sends you back. And again, this is something that's like actually very complicated, and I could go on about it, but for the sake of this video, that's a very condensed version. So, aliens, ETs, whatever you want to call them, very real. There are the ascended beings that are from other planets, other star systems, such as myself, who are here to help. And other beings, and there's other people here also in human form trying to help people, help the planet. Let's all ascend together. And then, of course, there's the other guys, the reptilians, the grays, who just don't give a crap, really, about us. And, you know, not much else I want to really say at this point. So that's the gist of it. That's coming from my perspective, the things I've seen, the things I've heard, and the things I've read, that the source that I trust. So if someone, I just want to throw out there, if someone confides in you that they think either they've seen aliens, they've seen a UFO, they've been abducted, you should at least listen, okay? Because if it is true, and again, I'm not saying every single person who claims this it's happened to, but it most likely has happened, and for most people, it's going to be terrifying and weird to talk about, because it has these, people have these own thoughts and opinions about aliens and how it's silly or whatever, but like all this stuff, if someone comes to you with something like this, at least listen, because they're probably telling the truth. And you know, even if you don't know what to say or do, at least letting someone talk about it can be helpful. So if you need someone to talk to about it, you can contact me. I have my email on here somewhere. I am on Instagram and Facebook under the name Tarot with Tegan, but you can message me there. And as I always say, I want to start a conversation. So leave a comment, message me, email me if you have questions. If you're just like, are you freaking serious at this point? That's fine too. So just let me know. Especially if you're someone who just needs to talk about it. Like I'm open to listening about it. And I understand the first time I heard and felt through certain ways that I was abducted in past lives, I was like, I couldn't sleep for days, okay? I was freaked out. I hadn't even finished my first shaman training yet, so I wasn't in that full headspace of accepting and knowing who I was and whatever. And so it was like, I was up for like 3 nights because I was like, don't come here. Don't take me. I don't want to go. If you're someone who just needs to talk about it, just let me know. I'm always open to talking. And again, if you're someone who's like, Jesus, what now? I guess thanks for listening this far, but you know, you can always let me know too. And yes, so let's not give in to fear, but let's also at least consider what I have to say, and don't be out there willy-nilly telling things and beings that maybe don't have your best interest to just come on over and have a party. Okay. All right, everyone. Have a good day, and I'll be back soon.